Hello everyone! I realized it had been a while since I'd done a top 10 video on my channel. I really like doing these because I think they can be a great resource just about one brand. And when I come up with my top 10, it's always been kind of fun and challenging to figure out what actually falls in my top 10. Now the way I do these, they don't really work up to a #1 best product the way some top 10s are. I'm just giving you the 10 best, but I'm going to be applying them in chronological order in the way I would typically do my makeup, you know? They're all good products. I think you'll see as I go what my tip-top favorites are. But as far as Revlon, we got a brand here that's been around for a long time. It's always one of the big ones I think of when I think drugstore makeup. I feel like they have major strengths with complexion and also lips. Eyes, I think, are where they could expand and do even more. That's just my opinion, but we'll get into the details here as we go. But the first product in my top 10 is definitely the ColorStay foundation. I mean, I really love and respect this product. When I think about ColorStay, I do think about my earliest days in YouTube when I was back in the apartment, and I remembered enjoying ColorStay so much and enjoying Rimmel Lasting Finish so much, and they were like my tip-top foundations. And they would take me through long days of reporting and anchoring, doing all that news stuff, particularly on days where I reported. It was like you went throughout your day working on a story, doing interviews, traveling here and there, and then the time you had to appear on camera was like the end of your day, and that was when you wanted your makeup to kind of look the best. The news may have fueled some of my interest in staying power, but I love the ColorStay makeup. I like that it comes in 2 different formulas. In my earlier days using ColorStay, I was a combo to oily, and I have definitely accepted the fact that I am a normal to dry now. I feel like I can take advantage of the little extra moisture, but still incredible staying power here. And to this day, I'll pick this up and I'll use it for like a week-long stretch and be like, oh, I'm back into ColorStay again. It does have SPF 20 in it. My shade is Dune. They talk about with the normal to dry that it has hyaluronic acid in it and 24-hour hydration. So I give myself a full pump, and it's a really classic liquid consistency that you're probably used to seeing in a lot of foundations. There's nothing real different about the way this feels going on. And I feel like coverage-wise, and this can vary depending on the amount you put on, but in terms of the coverage with a full pump, I'm going to end up getting like a strong medium coverage out of this, which I like. And you'll notice I am using the Beauty Blender today. I'm kind of back on my Beauty Blender train and I'm just going to tap this in all over my skin. I patched it on, and by the way, who remembers the days when there was not a pump on this and it was just that glass bottle, you know, classic glass bottle foundation. You just kind of have to pour it out. They've made some good improvements, but this is definitely one of the foundations that I think to pull in when staying power really matters to me. You know, like I've got another long day today. I think I mentioned in my last video we had a dance show. It was incredible. Night 1, my friend Hillary, who runs High Image Dance, she's celebrating 30 years in business, and the show last night was just tremendous, and it's probably why I'm a little tired this morning. Like, I had trouble winding down after getting home. It was just so much fun. But we have night 2 of that tonight, so that's cool. They get another night to perform. The girls just had a blast, of course, but I would like this makeup to last until that time, and I know it will. So Revlon ColorStay, can't beat it. Now I do have another foundation product in my top 10, and it's a little bit different vibes from ColorStay. It still wears well on me, but it's the Revlon Illuminance. This is called their Skin Caring Foundation. It has 5% squalane and hyaluronic acid. My shade is 213. Also does have a pump and a glass bottle, but here we're talking a little bit juicier foundation. The texture of it is still, you know, rather liquidy as it pumps out, but it's sort of reminding me of like the Glossier foundation. It leaves kind of a dewy, hydrated look on your skin, but it's not too sticky. I will have to link to a video below where you can see the application. For a while I thought this was getting discontinued, but I actually was still able to find it now. If you like Neutrogena healthy skin, I think you'd really like this. NARS Sheer Glow, the Glossier one, like I said. Don't expect the fullest coverage out of this. That's not what it's about. But depending on amount applied, I'd say you could hit a medium coverage with it. I know I'm always going to feel like I get better coverage out of ColorStay compared to this one, but it's just a whole other vibe. You know, there's a little more glow on the skin, more of a juicy, dewy feel. So even though this is the Revlon ColorStay formulated for normal to dry skin, I think we can all agree it's pretty much a matte finish. It doesn't look cakey, but it's still gonna make you look pretty matte. This is gonna give you some glow. Number 3, hands down, Revlon's best concealer they have ever made is the ColorStay Flex Wear Full Coverage Concealer. They just call it Full Cover. I wear the shade Vanilla. The staying power on this is so good. This compares really closely to a concealer I've raved about for years from Dermablend. And part of why I loved that one was that you put it on, it has really good coverage. You don't have to use a lot of it, but it really stays so consistent with the look later in the day. It's not like, oh, you put it on, it looks good, and then it becomes cakey looking or it becomes heavy. This really keeps a fresh look for a long time. I hope they never change this formula. You might remember like trying something called Revlon ColorStay Concealer a long time ago, and this is a major step up from that. I think they might still even sell that concealer, but you're looking for Flex Wear Full Cover. That's where it's at. That's what I'm going to use today as my concealer. I can just really count on this one. I love it. I'm putting a dot in my innermost cavern and then a dot right down there. I feel like I can use a little extra wake up today, you know. Also, it's going to tackle redness really well if that's your problem. This shade called Vanilla, I think is a real sweet spot for being able to give me nice coverage but also brighten. So I would take a concealer brush. This is my e.l.f. Tap and Blend. It's kind of got that little flat side. It spreads the concealer really well. And we're going to make those dots take up some space so they don't just get eaten up by my sponge, or if you're using a larger brush, the same thing can happen. It's like, what happened to all that concealer I applied? Make sure you make that concealer do the work and spread out, take up space, like I said. This is so good. It's definitely, I mean, I always talk about the big dogs of concealer coverage. We're talking e.l.f. Camo Concealer. This one is right up there. They're right up there with the Shape Tapes of the world. Do not overlook this one. And just the freshness of wear all day. Is it super hydrating him? Well, not really. I mean, it's not like a juicy, super tacky, super emollient concealer, but I would say it has even more freshness of wear compared to e.l.f.'s standard Camo Concealer formula. You know, not the hydrating, but the regular. It just does a really, really good job. Like, look at that. Look at that evenness there and that brightened look. I'm taking my Beauty Blender sponge, and this is an actual Beauty Blender that I'm using today, right around my nose. And also let me know, you guys, if there are other videos you'd like to see in my top 10 series. I'll have to put a list below of all the ones I've already done because it has been a while. You might have forgotten that I've done different ones, but it really has to be a brand that I'm pretty darn familiar with and that I've tried a lot of the products from. Oh, I did see something as I was browsing Revlon's website to make sure I didn't overlook or forget any products. I noticed they had, was it like a skin tint stick or something like that? A new stick thing is coming out. I haven't seen it anywhere in stores, but I'm very interested. And as you know, I've recently tried their photo ready skin tint stuff, which is very glowy. I like it, but it's not in my top 10. Here we go. That concealer is all blended in. There's where it takes you to full coverage with your look. You've got this all over. You've got a strong medium out of ColorStay, and then you add that concealer, and it's like, I'm as covered as I need to be. I just set my under eye with some loose powder. This one's from Morphe. It's their new one that has the 4 shades, and I love using the pink and the lavender because it's so super brightening. So I just use that with a little triangle powder puff, and then that brings me to my next product here that's made it into my top 10, and it's another part of the ColorStay family. They actually have a really good pressed powder. I have it in the shade Light, and it's a very like basic pressed powder, I guess you'd say. It's not trying to be powder foundation, and that is sometimes exactly what you want. It does come with the little puff underneath. It has a mirror in there. The feel is actually quite a bit smoother and softer than, say, Rimmel Stay Matte, but function-wise, I feel like it is very similar to what Stay Matte will do for you. It will overall mattify the skin without making you look too heavy and dry. So this is a good option because I know Rimmel, at least for me, Rimmel's harder to come by if I'm just browsing Walmart and just want to pick up a little purse powder or something like that. This would be a good option. It's a little bit like L'Oreal True Match pressed powder. That's a wonderful powder, but it can almost border on powder foundation. This one stays still a little lighter than that. So it's a great touch-up powder. It's a great just raise it all over the face powder because you don't need a brightening loose powder everywhere on your face. face, you know? And I just think it operates well alongside ColorStay foundation, also the concealer. Just a really good product, I think kind of under the radar. I know I have talked about it before, but not to the extent I talk about these. But a quality component of Revlon's line, I look at my skin now, I think, okay, I've really been mattified, but I do not look thick with product, actually, so that's good. Alrighty, time to fill in some blanks and talk about what I've done. I've put on blush and bronzer. These are a couple of parts of Revlon's line where I think they really need to do some work. Bronzer-wise, I think there might be like one bronzer out there you can find. I just went ahead and used my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the Sculpting shade. I've got that on in all my usual zones. And then my blush today is from Catrice. It's one of those duo cream and powder blushes. It's called Blush Affair. This shade is called Pleasing Pink, and it's just a really great, cool pink. I feel like I did a good job of applying it kind of softly. Just blending here a second. But I think they need to expand on bronzers and blushes. They had some really good blushes going. I have one, and the shade is called Hot Cheeks, but they don't even make that shade anymore, and it's nicely pigmented. It has a little shimmer. I enjoy it, but I'm just thinking, like, I can't name it in my top 10 if I don't even own a currently available shade. So I just put a little asterisk by that saying they have a good blush formula, but I'm wondering if some kind of reboot is potentially on the way with their powder blushes, because it seems like the amount available is dwindling. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some new Revlon bronzers and blushes in the near future, because it really seems like there's sort of a void in their brand right there. The highlighter. Oh boy, do they have a great highlighter. Actually, one of my favorites spanning all highlighter lines, and it's the Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter. The shade is called Daybreak Glimmer. I own a backup of this. I don't know when in the world I'm going to need it. This is kind of like a baked gelée kind of texture. Have you seen products like that? It has a little ripple in it. You know, I've used it down a little bit. I use this product frequently, but it's very potent. A little goes a long way, and I just feel like I'm going to have this pan of product for quite some time. But we're going to use this today, and it's going to take our matteness and just absolutely step it up and make us look dewy without feeling dewy. And that's going to be good for our staying power today. So I'm picking up a little bit on my Real Techniques setting brush, and we're just going to put that right up in here. Look at the lift. Look at the glow. I'm dusting off any excess. We have no glitter chunks. We have nothing unsightly. Just buff over it, and you'll see that beautiful sheen right there. My zone that I tend to work with for highlighter is I go right under like my eye, but on top of the cheek, not up in this under eye zone where concealer would go, but on top of the cheek, but in line with the center of my eye. And then I work any additional back a little bit. Then I go kind of right here up above the brows. That's where my forehead, you know, protrudes. It makes sense for that area to catch the light right up in here. And the whole skin's going to look a little more cohesive when you do get a little highlight on the forehead. I'm very sparing with it there because I don't need to accent fine lines, but a little on the Cupid's bow too. You know, it just makes the whole face look a little more radiant. I love that. If you are looking for an amazing highlight that has range, it can be pretty strong or it can be nice and light, look into this one. It is definitely like a top drugstore pick. Alrighty friends, I've done brows and we're at number 6 in the lineup. I've also done eye primer. It's actually gonna be an eyeshadow. Now Revlon is doing a pretty good job with these little eyeshadow quads, these ColorStay Day to Night quads. It wasn't that long ago that I remember picking this one up in Target. I have the shade called Moonlit. It's actually a really nicely pigmented, creamy, very complete basic eyeshadow quad with some range here. We have that nice deep shade that would appear to have a satin finish, but overall operates like a matte. And then these other three definitely have a more pronounced shimmer, but I would like to see Revlon really fly with this idea and maybe put some of this formula into some slightly larger palettes, maybe double up, make it an 8 pan or something. I think they've got a good thing going here and I would like to encourage it, but it's actually the only eye thing that's in my top 10. I know their little Inkwell ColorStay eyeliner, that used to be a fave of mine for a while, but I feel like nothing's really outperforming the Milani. Milani's Stay Put Tank Liner Pen is just like off the charts good for staying power, not letting you down, not smearing. I've yet to really latch onto a Revlon mascara, but this is an area where I think Revlon is doing a really good job. And you must be realizing now that spots 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all devoted to lips, and rightfully so. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a crease brush and I'm gonna go into this taupey color right here. Does it have shimmer? Yes, but does that shimmer behave differently with a fluffier crease brush involved? Yes. So keep that in mind with any of your little palettes where you do see shimmer. Think, that's gonna behave differently. If I were to pack that on with a sponge tip or a flat brush, more shimmer is gonna show. And if I use it with kind of a diffused crease brush type application like I'm doing here, it's gonna soften it out. And you're gonna see really less concentrated shimmer and more just soft pigment. So she's just working back and forth in the crease. This is going to be one for my cool shadow lovers, okay? I'm building it up just a little bit. Building. One thing about a shimmer, when you're using it this way too, it's going to soften out so well. Sometimes mattes you might even have a harder time, even though it's your instinct to grab for the matte mid-tone for the crease. Sometimes the shimmers are even easier about just fading into your skin tone, okay? Like that. And then we have this really bright white shade, which we could just get a little bit on our brush and use that to spotlight down here under the brow. Or should I say up here? Right up there. Cool, okay, nice and soft and easy. Are we working in the dark shade today, Em? Absolutely, right in here, nice and soft. It's actually kind of a unique shade. It looks like charcoal and has a microfine, like golden shimmer to it. Really cool shade. Don't get too much on the brush. It doesn't take a lot. I would tap off a little excess off of my Morphe M303 large flat brush. By the way, I link everything I use, brushes included, down below the video. If you can expand those sections. I'm so often on my computer, and it's real easy to like just expand the area under the video. And then on your phone, it's like, how many little clicks do you have to do to actually get to the info she put in the info box? But just look under there, see where you can say show more and whatnot. You will get to all of my product and brush links. Loving this. It's pigmented, but there is a little gentle hint of satin finish softness in this color that I'm putting in the outer corner. I'm flipping my brush. I'm saying, hey, depth, enter the crease. So good. And then if you wanted to shape it more, I know you know what I'm gonna say, but Profusion small pointed brush can go into that same color. Revlon really has a good thing going with the quads. And interestingly enough, it seems the best place to find them is Target. Revlon and Target, that was also where I found the Photo Ready Skin Tint. Target's just carrying more Revlon. Look at this. Ooh, somebody need a smoky eye for something? Want just a manageable little quad to take you there? Okay, then I would go back to my crease brush, blend only on the edge. You don't need to touch all the rest of that depth. Just hit the edge. This is where you keep a look from getting muddy. If your complaint is, gosh, I do my whole eyeshadow look and then I blend, but it still looks muddy. Well, make sure that there are areas that don't need blending at this point, and that would be where like the density of that darkness was put on. Blend the edge though, so it all merges in back into your skin lightly. I'm not applying a lot of pressure here. I'm not being rough with it. Just a light bit of blending. Now we're thinking about the light shades, or we could come inward and keep it kind of smoky with some of that taupe. But we do have this. It's a really soft champagne. Would honestly make a great cheek highlight. It's reminding me of Daybreak Glimmer a little bit. We also have that. Popping the inner corner, perhaps. Now that I said it, I want to do it. I want to take some of this taupe. It was the same shade we immediately went to the crease with, because I've done enough looks where it gets really bright in the inner corner. Let's do this. And it catches more light than the deeper shade. Like you can tell a difference. I'm going slightly above my crease line too with my Morphe M302. A little smaller than the M303. Look at that. The ease. It's an underrated product. It's a hidden gem right in the middle of my top 10 here. And it was more recently released. Like you can see, mine has this new and improved label on it. They really did do some good stuff here. Let's expand, make more. I want to see more. Cleaning off my brush, I'm going to dip into this super icy shade and just let a little bit of that go in the innermost corner. It's going to be like a pop. You sort of see at certain angles when I turn my head a little more. I'm going back to my small pointed brush and a little bit of my deep shade, just a touch, and bringing some of that down on my lower lash line for a little smudgy smoke. But Em, aren't you concerned about staying power? I feel like it's pigmented enough to cling in there. And I'm not applying it heavily, okay? But just kind of this outer bit. An amazing one shadow look out of this quad would also be to just use this for everything. We know it can do crease, we know it can do lid, you know? It could also smudge on the lower lash line. That's your shortcut shade. What we've done today is, you know, using almost everything. All right, I'm gonna finish the eye look and be right back. The eye look is done. I did some black liquid liner across the top. It's my ABH straight up classic black liquid liner in case I do some lashes later. I have my Milani Highly Rated Fan Club on my top lashes and e.l.f. Lash Extender Tubing Mascara on the lower lashes, okay? So then that takes us to lips, where I have four separate products from Revlon that make it into my top 10. Like I said, I think complexion is a strong suit for Revlon, just, you know, coverage products, and then also lips. So first thing I'll mention, because I might do kind of a lip combo out of the final three, but this one I think can kind of stand alone. It's their Super Lustrous Glass Shine Balm. It's kind of sort of like Revlon lip butters have come back again. They've got this pretty white packaging. The shade I have here is Spiced Wine, and as you can see, it's that same cut that lip butters had, right? It's not the fully formed bullet. There is a great glide, a great shine, not amazing staying power with these, but that thin kind of balminess. Not a really rich, thick, heavy balm, but it's a product that just feels light. Smell is really good. I would say, oops, don't draw it on your nose, but a slight vanilla scent. With one pass over, I am building just a little bit just to kind of neaten my edges here. But look at all the shine that pops off, okay? That's more than if you were to use a Revlon Super Lustrous lipstick in a cream formula. It's not gonna get as shiny as this. This is almost like the level of shine from those products from Tarte and so many other brands that click up, and they give you practically a gloss-like shine along with the color. This is for those who maybe don't like it to click up. You'd prefer to be able to twist it back down. It's that format of product, but in like a twist up stick, okay? I think they might even be shinier than I remember lip butters being. But this shade, Spiced Wine, so everyday, very easy to wear. I love that. Then you know I'm gonna mention Revlon ColorStay lip liners. These are at the top of the game for lip liner staying power. They've got a great shade range. You can get into reds, you can get into plums and berries, pinks, mid-tones, neutrals, the shade Nude. If you were just gonna get one, I feel like you could really take advantage of Nude. I'm trying to do multiple swipes here so you can get a feel for what that color is, because it's a deepened nude, okay? And that's gonna play so nicely with any neutral lip color you got going on. It's gonna wear better than your Wherever Walnut from Makeup Forever. It's gonna neaten up that lip line, and it's just gonna have a beautiful cling, okay? I am almost out of this one, but I gotta back up waiting. I think I'm just pushing it down to where it can't hardly reach my lips anymore, but it's a loved product, right? I mean, I also like the shade Sienna. I also like the shade Mauve. Hardly any left to be applied there, but it's just a perfect, I would call deepened nude, but the shade name is Nude, and I love it. It's gonna be a staying power friend, even when you do top it off with glossy things that make it their mission to break down products like this. This is the standard that I really hold all other lip liners to. You know this top 10 is not happening without a mention of Revlon Super Lustrous Lipstick. I know they put out fancy glittery packaged ones that are like double the price in Ulta. You don't need those. I mean, it's nice, it's a luxurious feel, but the classic Revlon Super Lustrous lipstick is fantastic, and the shade range is great. They've got certain shades that go back so many years. I can link below to videos where I've really dug into the extent of the shade range. But here, if I'm picking out a lip combo for today, I've pulled out Bare Affair. Bare Affair is a wonderful classic nude, okay? So I've just put on my nude lip liner, pair in Bare Affair. Look at that. And it's looking so good with this sort of borderline smoky eye. I love that. So good. And then the final thing, my number 10 in my top 10. This is a really good gloss that they've got going on here. It's from their Glimmer range, but it's not really glimmery sparkly, but it's a lip oil. It's more like glowy on the lips. And this shade called Plum Pop is so nice. It's so great just all on its own. It's very similar to Taffy from Maybelline's Lifter gloss line. See how it has that element of sheerness, but yet still a good amount of color. This looks like a sheer wash of berry on your lips, but not streaky, really comfortable, really full of moisture. But what if we put it on top of this? A fully nude base. Look how we just give it a little more depth and richness. And just all the comfort from the texture of this product. Over a nude, it just slightly mauves it up, you know? I love it. I really think that's a good product. I like the applicator. I like how it holds some product, but it's not too gigantic. Now they're calling it glimmer, but this one does not have shimmer. Again, it's a transparent kind of gently pigmented berry, but it is going to show on your lips even just alone. It doesn't have to be combined with anything. The only reason it's not getting mentioned in videos more is because this is living in my purse. It's a very easy touch-up product for me. So folks, that is my Revlon top 10. I'm glad I finally did it. If you're feeling like diving into the brand again, these are some products that I think are going to really serve you well. Great things to choose from for foundation. There's a really solid concealer here. I think they could do better on bronzers and blushes and just the eye products in general, but lips totally covered. So thank you for your time, everyone. I love you, and I will see you again soon. Bye.